guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to announce to you the first of the budget shows. Yes, that's it. I have decided to create a new series called The Budget Show, where we're going to talk all things budget, savings, maybe a few freebies, and talk about kids' money, everything to do with personal finance. We're talking about it here. So grab a coffee and let's get started. I want to ask a quick question. Do you invest? Now, this is something that's been on my mind for the last month. I'm starting to be more interested in, curious about, and I've got so many questions, but it's like, where do I start? It feels like a minefield. There's so much information out there. And to be honest, I don't feel like it's for someone like me. Well, I say I don't. I used to feel that it wasn't for someone like me. I got the impression it was for people who have lots of money, really. And then as I learned a little bit more about it, then I started getting scared about, it's risky. And, you hear all the horror stories. But now as I'm learning even more, I'm realizing that actually investing seems to be like something for everyone. And there is a push to try and get more women into investing. So this is something that I definitely want to be tackling and learning over the next few months. Am I in the right position to start investing now? No, I'm not. However, I can definitely start learning and understanding the concepts of it. When I'm finally debt free and I've definitely can afford to invest, I will definitely be doing it then. So I want to know, do you invest? And if you do, what are your top tips? What are your top resources? If you don't invest, why don't you invest? What is it that puts you off? I would love to know. So let's get started. So the budget tip this week is weekly amounts. Now let me talk you through an example. Every payday, I assign myself a small amount of money for spending money. I can basically buy whatever I want, whether I want to buy like 50 McDonald's, which I never would do, or maybe I want to buy a really nice pair of trainers or shoes. I can spend that money on myself with no guilt because that money is for me. Now, what I'd usually do is payday would come and I'm like, oh yes, I can buy this. And then I'd have maybe £40 left to get me through the whole month. And I'd struggle. Well, I've done things slightly differently this month and I've decided to create weekly amounts before payday. So, for argument's sake, I budgeted £100 for my spending money. Then, just before payday, I decided that I was going to split that by the number of weeks, and every Monday I would get a new instalment of money. If I divide that by the weeks, that's maybe £25, and then every Monday I can just top it up with the next week's allowance. I have to say it has worked wonders. If you struggle with living payday to payday and, the first couple of weeks you're living it up and life is great and the second couple of weeks you're eating beans and toast and you're stuck in the house, this tip will work for you, honestly. And it can be transferred across to grocery, it can be transferred across, so it's definitely something I'd recommend if you are paid on a monthly basis and you need to make your money stretch. The savings tip this week is challenges. Now, it just makes saving fun. Like, I have to admit, I find savings quite overwhelming at times. Like, the idea of saving a big chunk of money at payday towards savings makes me feel like I'll miss that money. Whereas if I do small amounts, small frequent amounts, I am so pumped by seeing the money build up over time. And also I don't notice it as much. I'm so driven, and by the end of the month it's like, oh wow, I've saved like 80 quid, I've saved 100 quid, So it's definitely something that I have learned to love in the last few months. One of my most popular challenges, I would say, is the Save £1 a Day challenge. And over on Insta in June, although I didn't complete this myself, loads of ladies got involved in the Save £1 a Day challenge and there were so many successes. It was amazing to see. I was so proud. There was ladies that was saving for Christmas, emergency fund, making payments towards debt. They was really working towards it and it was so exciting to see. So that's definitely something I'll be doing again in the next couple of months. Definitely something to try if you do struggle to save like I do. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, this was a book that I read a couple of weeks back, and it was one of my top 10 books. Absolutely amazing. I really, really enjoyed the concept of, a rich mindset and a poor mindset. The one thing I took from it was changing my mindset from saying, there's no money, I can't do it, to how can I find more money? And that excites me. It's creative and I really thrive off that. So even in my current situation, I work full time, I have a budget. So one of the first things I can do is think, well, actually, let me see if I could reduce some of the items in my budget and maybe spend a little less on. The next thing I could do is maybe do a couple of mystery shopping assignments, because I have to admit that's a nice little side hustle that I like. Another one I could do is selling as well. I've got items in the house to sell. There's so many ways to make additional income. So yeah, I really enjoyed that concept of understanding that you don't have to accept where you currently are. You can actually change things if you change your mindset. And next, terminology of the month. So yeah, I wanted to talk about emergency funds today. I know that feeling when you first discover the debt-free community, or you first get your finances in order, and then all of a sudden you start facing all these terminologies, sinking funds and emergency funds and so on. And I figured maybe let's just have a quick chat about each of the terminologies every time we do one of the budget shows. And this week it is the emergency fund. I've discovered the emergency fund through Dave Ramsey, where he recommends that when you decide to get out of debt, one of the first things you'll do is save $1,000. In the UK, that equates to roughly about £800 or something along those lines. It's changed so many times since I've been on my debt-free journey. But yeah, it's roughly around that, but I just like to round it up to £1,000. So yeah, an emergency fund is roughly just a small amount to cover you for any unexpected expenses. And these have to be real urgent expenses that aren't planned. So for example, we know every year Christmas is coming up. It's expensive, but we know it's coming up. That isn't an emergency. However, if your car suddenly breaks down and you haven't got any spare money to fix it, and you're relying on that car, then yeah, that is an emergency. Or maybe, there's been a family emergency, you need it there, or maybe you've been made redundant. These are actual emergencies, but running out of money and then saying, oh, I want a takeaway, and then getting a takeaway with your emergency isn't quite the right reason to use an emergency fund. But definitely something that you should consider having if you wanted to break out of the credit cycle. It saved me so many times. But one thing I would do differently is, because last year my emergency fund vanished after quite a few months, is I would keep saving. Last year I got to my goal amount and then I stopped saving. Whereas now, this year, I am still continuously saving towards it every single month, no matter how small that is. And then finally, I wanted to do a segment regarding money stories, saving stories, anything that you've overcome. It's so inspiring when you see that someone else has gone through the same struggles as you. And it can be quite scary going through it, especially if you are going through it alone and you haven't told anyone. And I'd love to share more stories. Obviously, we can keep your identity hidden. Drop me an email or maybe message me on Instagram and share with me your financial successes. I would love to know. It doesn't matter how small it is. I'm still on my debt-free journey now. I have very little savings, but I do feel I've made a real success over the last couple of years, because the situation I was in a couple of years back was quite horrible, I guess today I'd share with you my savings story. My savings story, how it started was my car had broken down again in earlier this year, and I decided I wasn't going to spend any more money on it because I was spending a fortune. Decided to let go and go back onto the buses for a few months. Me being naive, I figured, I'll be able to save loads of money every month. And I didn't, because I didn't know how to budget at that point. And what I found was I started to really look at myself and look at my spending. I started to track every single pound. and I realized, oh my gosh, like I've said that I've got no money to save, but I've just spent £25 on Five Guys. That's not true. So I got really quite annoyed with myself, and I decided to open an ISA and start saving for my house straight away. I only opened it with £5, but it was just the action of getting it done and just saying, yep, okay, we have started saving, and then next month you're going to build on it and add another £5. And then maybe one day you'll be able to save some bigger amounts. But for now, you're just going to practice the action of saving, because I was always that person that said, tomorrow, next month, because I've got a car repair, I'll pay for this trip or so on, and I kept putting it off. But after 10 or so years, you finally do need to start changing things. So that's what I did. And we're now in August, and that £5 a little bit more, and I have to admit I'm really proud of that. I've been consistently saving just a small minimum amount of £5, and then over the last month I've tried to increase it a little bit, which has been pretty cool. So far so good. I've also been doing savings challenges as well, and they have bumped it up. And then one of the best things I've done as well is if I've got any refunds, I've got a little bit of a refund, I put it straight into savings, and it feels really good. Like, I just think, why didn't I do this sooner? So anyway, that's my savings story this week. I'd love to know if you've got any sort of budgeting successes. Maybe you were debt free after how many years of paying off debt, or maybe you changed like a poor spending habit, or maybe you've just got a tip. I would love to know. Comment below or drop me a DM and let's discuss. I'd love to know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the slightly different video today. We're going to be talking about so much more. I do want to talk about kids and money as well, and share with you my investments journey too. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.